Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson, and I'm joined as always by Josh Bowe. We are both editors over at MavsMoneyball.com. Josh, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Hopefully that's the final preseason game and we can get the regular season underway. Wait.
That game counted.
That game. Oh no. Did someone tell the Wizards that game counted? I don't think they did.
They're 2-18. No.
They're a bad team.
Are they that bad? No. They can't be that bad. Maybe 2-16?
No, they're 2-18. They're 2-18.
Oh my God. Talk about rough. Well, guys, we're just going to be honest with you. The Dallas Mavericks beat the Washington Wizards 137-101. I was texting with another person in the media space, one of them who we'll just say that it's one who you all know. And he said, I think there are 7 post-game shows related to the Dallas Mavericks that he was aware of, along with 4 of them that go live on YouTube, including ours and including his. He said, there's a lot of appetite for the Dallas Mavericks. And I said, yes, there is. And so with that in mind, I think what we're going to do is we're going to respect our audience's time, and try to keep this brief because there ain't much to say beyond the fact that that was an ass whooping.
It was 137-101, and the final score doesn't even really do justice to how dominant and how in the bag this game was for the Mavericks. At no point did it feel like Washington was threatening. And it really did. I was joking in Slack, but it really did at times. The Mavericks felt like they were in 5th gear, or I don't know, 1st gear.
Buster, for just a second, my wife texted me.
No, you're good. It felt like the Mavericks were in 2nd gear at most for this game. And even with that, it didn't feel like they were going balls out 100%, which is fine. They didn't need to. And they were still racking up, 30-point lead in the second half. If the Mavericks if the Mavericks were playing this game like their lives depended on it, they could have won this game by 80 points. That's how dominant they were over this team. It was a wire. I mean, it wasn't wire to wire victory, but it was about as close as you can get. And it just they were just doing whatever they want. They were just kind of, like I said, they're playing. It felt like they were playing at half speed for most of the game, and
they could have won by more.
Yeah, that's what I said while you stepped out.
Half.
Yeah. But I mean, why even expend the energy? I don't blame them at all. They did their jobs. I mean, the Washington never had a chance in this game. I know there were maybe a couple runs they made in the first half where you'd probably like a team to be tighten that up a little bit. But I mean, it's not like they ever got it to within a possession. It was pretty much a double-digit lead for most of the game. And yeah, they killed them. They made 23 pointers and they scored 50 points in the paint. When you do that, your offense is humming.
The plus minus numbers are hilarious.
They really are.
They don't even look real. Luka finished plus 36, Clay plus 36. Maxey plus 27, which and it's the mirror image, 17 minutes of nothing. He didn't, I guess he had 1 assist and 2 blocks, and he's a plus 27. What is the Wizards net rating now? Robbie Lewis in the chat makes a joke about the Wizards net rating because apparently teams that play against them are every team that plays against the Wizards, it's just has a net rating of plus 15, which would be the best all time over the course of the season. Just something.
So the Wizards turn everyone into the Harlem Globetrotters, basically.
Pretty much, man. They just, number one, they were down a number of guys who can contribute, and they just don't even look like a real team. What? Sarr is not very good.
Well, that's okay. It
was fine.
Rookie. Yeah.
Bilal Coulibaly was 0 of 10, but that dude is a boss. And Jonas Valanciunas, those are the only players that I'm remotely into. I don't know. Bub Carrington was kind of fun. Negative 26 in this time.
I know. This is very, very much a transition year, to say the least, for Washington. And, the one thing we can say, we were talking about, we don't know what to say about this game because Washington's so bad. I think the one thing we can say is the Mavericks they did their job, right? And that's commendable because we have seen the Mavericks in the last 5 years not always, take their opponent seriously when it's a bad opponent. And they certainly did that tonight. And there was never a doubt, Luka has had some games against bad teams where it's like he doesn't look engaged because he knows it's going to be such a cakewalk. Like he was on it from the first quarter, which was really nice to see. His line doesn't look super impressive, even though he had a triple double, because he kind of, in the third quarter, like the game was over and he was just kind of shooting threes and jumpers because it didn't really matter. But I think the first half, Luka, like he was very much determined to be like, let's not play in the fourth quarter. Like, let's get everyone a rest. Like, and that was nice to see. Like they're very much locked in right now. They're 15-8, and they're, I don't know, don't see any signs of them slowing up, especially with this schedule. Schedule.
The schedule's pretty hilarious. I'm going to pull it up. Let's see. So the Mavericks are now riding and a current NBA. They hold like the 6-game win streak. The Mavericks are riding, and they've now won 10 of their last 11. The 6-game win streak is the current longest active win streak, which is really something. They play Toronto. Then I guess the first the NBA Cup stuff is like throwing me off. Tuesday, December 10th at 8:30 is when they play the Thunder, and that's the do or die part of the NBA Cup. And then I have a feeling they play like the loser, even if it. And those games, I think those games count towards your.
I think the only games that don't count for the regular season are the semifinal and the final, or maybe just the final. I don't know. Last time I talked about Cup stuff, it was bad. I did not get it right.
Our guy Tyler Edsall at Mavs Moneyball keeps threatening me about
he keeps writing about
sort
it.
Of thing.
I know.
So we'll figure that out. But it's like if you pull those games aside, you look at the rest of it. They after whatever short break that they'll have right after the tournament and before Christmas, they play Clippers, Portland, and the Clippers are the Clippers strike me as the kind of team that'll just drag the Mavs into the mud because they obviously play Harden ball, which is not dissimilar from Luka ball, but they have a center that's actually amazing. That's not to say the Mavericks centers aren't quite good, but they play like the 2019 or the 2022 Dallas Mavericks, only with a load of a center and Zubac, who I just really appreciate. So, all right, this game, thinking a little more about this game.
There's not much to think about.
I got nothing.
Spencer Dinwiddie keeps making threes. What? At this point, I would believe any theory as to why he shoots threes here better than anywhere else in his NBA career. Because you look at his like, go to his basketball reference page. It is hilarious. It is hilarious. He's a career like 33, like outside of Dallas, he's probably like a career 30%, maybe 3-point shooter. And then, two and a half, season and a half in Dallas, he's 40%. He's at 36. He was at 36.6 going into this game. So that probably bumped up a little bit. He was 4 or 5 tonight. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Luka effect. Like there's no better example maybe of the Luka effect, but yeah, that dude Dallas just knows how to shoot. I don't know. He just makes threes in Dallas. It's really funny.
You pull back, and we're starting to see elements of like the first 5 to 7 games. Everyone was shooting terribly.
Yeah,
and now we're sort of seeing things swing the opposite way, and that's just that's the NBA shooting variance. Like the Mavericks ended up only hitting. Oh, not only like they shot.
What are you talking about?
that was the Wizards line. When you hit 53% of your threes.
You shoot 38 of them.
we got to see Klay Thompson kind of heat up for a brief moment. He still doesn't look very comfortable, but that is what it is. Bobby Corrala over at DLLS did a section. It was either in their podcast yesterday or the podcast after the other game. He did like a video. It's not really a video breakdown. It was almost like him sort of teaching a class where he would pause the video and like show everyone what was happening. And I really recommend you go watch it. I don't want to take away from his work here, but he did a nice job of explaining what what Klay does. If you think he sucks, like there's just that sentiment out there. I'm gonna say I understand, but what he allows the offense to do is really interesting. And it is pretty interesting because Leo says in the chat, he goes, I wish they had the rights to show the film. And honestly, man, you can show clips, but the thing about showing clips is your eyes go away from stuff. Most people tend to follow the ball. It's hard to look elsewhere when the ball is doing a thing. The freeze frame really allows him with the pictures to be able to point specific things out. And, Brandon says Clay's got to stop these hitches and pump fakes and just shoot it. Tend to agree with that sort of thing. But even Clay without the ball, like, guys have to face guard him. And that the Mavericks will slowly, over the course of the season, they'll see how teams are guarding Clay. They'll see how teams are guarding their other guys. And they will develop exploitations of that kind of defense.
Like they're already kind of doing it now.
Yeah. That's the rub. So it's like, if you're sitting there going, why does this happen? Why does this happen? Quite candidly, we haven't seen these Mavericks at full strength when they're playing well still. Najee's got whatever he's got going on. He's another piece you add into this mix. Quentin Grimes is just able to hit. It feels like he could become a microwave at any moment. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, like you think about how well the bigs are scoring this season, and like Clay has a lot to do with that. Like, how are they still able to get lobs and rim runs when we saw the Celtics in the finals last year kind of lay the blueprint out of like how you can neutralize the Mavericks a little bit? Like, it's like, okay, so why aren't teams doing that more? And it's like, well, when you got Clay, when you've got one of the greatest 3-point shooters ever, like, that reputation matters, and it's opening things up for everyone else. So yeah, like eventually he's gonna have to be more consistent with his shot making, but like that's a playoff. Like, to be honest, it's a playoff discussion. Like, they will be totally fine in the regular season if he's playing the way he's playing right now.
So I put together. Look, I want to go to break, but then I want to talk about. I want to talk about the win-loss record and just something that I mean, you all know this, but it's one thing to know it. It's another thing to put all the data together and read it. But all right. So as you guys know, our podcast sponsor at the moment is a company called Body Spec. If you're unfamiliar with Body Spec, what are you doing? They are a company that provides what's known as a DEXA scan. It's a full body composition scan. I got one a couple of weeks ago. And what the goal of the body composition scan is to help you understand kind of what's going on with you, whether you're an athlete, a person who sits behind a desk, a person who might have a more manual labor job. It's good to know, where you are so you can have an idea of how to get where you want to go, particularly if you're interested in getting back into better shape. If you'll head to the show notes and click the Body Spec link, you can see what I'm talking about. Right now, we're offering a special promo code. If you use the code PODMAVS45, which I actually need to show you here for those of you in the video stream, PODMAVS45 in all caps for $15 off. Guys, going to be honest with you. I can see the metrics on this stuff. We're seeing a lot of click-throughs. Really appreciate the click-throughs. Not seeing signups for us yet. So if you want to support the show and you want to do something good for yourself, click and sign up and go. It's nice. It's something you can do for yourself. It's a gift you could give to somebody close to you. It's real short. Josh is actually getting his tomorrow. And then we're going to be able to talk about it a little bit more after Saturday's game, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Body Specs competitors charge as much as $150 for a scan like this. So you're getting real usable information at a great price. Again, visit the Body Spec link in the show notes or in the video description section and use the code PODMAVS45 and sign up for one of these things, guys. You'd be surprised. They're all over the place in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's kind of one of those things that you've probably seen before and just didn't notice. Anyway, we're going to insert some ads here and we will be right back. All right, Jahmyr Gibbs just caught a 2-yard touchdown. Fantasy football on a Thursday night, mattering. This is Kirk Henderson and Josh. We're back. Thanks for listening to our ads. If you guys wouldn't mind subscribing to our show, leaving a comment. I just got the Spotify Wrapped, which just only shows the Spotify Wrapped ads of the single favorite thing that we got. Pod Maverick is quite literally listened and downloaded in 75 different countries. Of all the different statistics I've come across, that sort of thing absolutely blew my mind. We only have 3,200 subscribers here on Twitter. We do have in the neighborhood of like 25,000 people who regularly download on our thing, but it's really cool to see stuff like that. I'm very grateful for the support that we get in the show. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you should leave a comment. That's me talking for like a minute straight. So the Mavericks are 15-8 now. Yes. Is that right?
Yes, they're 15-8.
So I think my favorite stat that I've compiled so far, and you guys all know this, it's just you think, all right, they got 8 losses. Well, those 8 losses are by 39 points. 39 points.
What is that? Do the math for me. What is
That's
that
like
per
it's
game?
like
Four,
it's like 4
5?
points. It was real. It was like I did it the other night. And now I can't remember what it is. It's what is there 39? Nope. 39 divided by 8, 4.875 points a game.
Okay.
So, and that's so basically when you guys know this. You guys go in, if you go look at the schedule, you go look at the loss column stuff. They lost their second game of the year against the Pistons by 12. They lost Houston by 6, Indiana by 7. Then the next 4 games they lost by a combined 8 points, and they lost to the Heat by 5. Like, the reason I point this out is just kind of a reminder. And Steve Jones did this the other night on his show. It's like, and maybe I owe an apology to some people who pop in the comments when I've been pissed off. It's like, all right, this team is really good. It's kind of what it's kind of where I'm settling. Like, they're really good. I get that there might be better teams, but the 82 game trajectory, the Mavericks aren't starting too high. We have all these points of improvement that they could make. There's the health stuff. There's a lot of the defensive focus. There's some 3-point stuff. There's frankly just using stuff that works more often. Oh man, there's just a lot going on. This is a game you should be, or this is a team you should be really excited about. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like I said, I think after the Memphis and Portland win, where they basically won 2 games where they absolutely shouldn't have because of really bad statistical outlier kind of things going against them. Like, you don't normally beat a team that's shooting I can't remember what Portland shot. They were like in the high 50s from 3. And then they won against Memphis, shooting with 25 turnovers. So it's like, okay, like this is starting to feel like a team that is going to do what we've been asking them to do since 2019 or 2020, basically. Like, take the regular season seriously and dominate it the way that you think they should if you have someone you think is the MVP. And I know the rosters haven't been good enough lately, but it's clearly good enough now. And they really didn't have any excuses coming into this season, besides some injury stuff, obviously. But this was the season for them to really push for a top 3 seed, which, I've written about, I've talked about. Like, you don't win an NBA title unless you're a top 3 seed. Like, that's just how it is. It's only happened twice if you're not a top 3 seed in the history of the league. Hasn't happened since 1995. You just got to be a top 3 seed. And guess what? The West is hard again. I know the Mavericks will probably petition the league to move east whenever there's an expansion team in Vegas.
God, you're right. I never even thought about that.
I know. I'm pretty sure I've read a story that Cuban has, when Cuban was more in charge, he was pushing for the Mavericks to be put in the Eastern Conference whenever the NBA expanded, because their expansion teams are going to be it's either going to be Vegas in the West or it's going to be Seattle. Like, it's going to be a Western Conference team, so they might shift it around. But Mavericks might have to get in line, because I'm sure every team in the West would rather play in the East.
No, like Memphis.
Like Memphis, or anyone. The Lakers would probably like to be in the East right now, although they just got drubbed by Miami, so maybe not.
Well, somebody pointed that out in the comments, where it's I'm talking about the Mavs only lost 8 games by 39 points. Where did he go? There's a comment just a second ago. It's like the Lakers just lost by 41
in one loss. That's crazy. That's crazy to
right?
do. Yeah. Wow. So they're kicking ass. I don't have cleaning the glass. Hasn't updated yet, but they were 7th in net rating on cleaning the glass coming into this game, which is good, because the other teams ahead of them have really high ones. But if they finish with the net rating they have right now, they'll be in the top 5. I think they're 5th in the league in point differential, only behind Cleveland, Boston, Oklahoma City, and Memphis, and they just beat Memphis. So take that with what you will. So yeah, there's nothing to complain about, right?
No,
they're doing their job.
Great space, and we can do kind of a brief look ahead. Toronto, Saturday evening at Toronto. Bit of a trap game. I feel like Toronto always plays them hard, but that was also when they had Nick Nurse. And they right now have what do they have on the injury report? Yeah, they still have a number of guys like Emmanuel Quickly, Kelly Olynyk, Jacob Pirtle. These guys are all like that. I guess Pirtle could come back, but Olynyk is and Quickly are not, at least according to ESPN, are not expected to play in that game. So that and Kelly's like one of those guys who just eats the Mavericks up doing annoying shit because he's a technically functional player. I don't know, that one's going to be is what it is. Then the Mavericks get a brief kind of they get Sunday, Monday off, and then they're playing that opening round of the NBA Cup against the Oklahoma City Thunder in Oklahoma City, which, you know, for your extra game playing against your probably your most heated Western Conference foe is pretty fun. The Mavericks that was like the game. That was like the Lilliputian game where the Mavericks beat the Thunder in kind of a boat, like a race to 130 points or whatever it was, where the Thunder only had 6'6" guys or short. They have a slightly more healthy team. That'll be just that, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing that game in general, just because I both love and hate playing really good teams. See here, I was filibustering as I was trying to get to who I wanted to look at the Oklahoma City roster, but seeing how Lively deals with Isaiah Hartenstein is pretty important to me, because Hartenstein does the same thing to teams that Lively does in terms of just being everywhere. And Lively, I think, you know, he had kind of an odd box score tonight with a whole bunch of offensive rebounds and not that many defensive rebounds. And I just want to see what I would like to see him. I don't know. I don't just play a more complete game. Is that ridiculous? Am I being too harsh on him
for Lively?
Yeah.
I guess, but I thought he was okay. You know, he's pretty good tonight.
I want to see him grab more defensive rebounds against teams where we need defensive rebounding.
That's fair.
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay. That's
fair. Because there's just times where he doesn't box. And I think against a team like the Thunder, that's where you get eaten up.
I know he had 11 rebounds, but yeah, 7 of them.
7 offensive, which is great. It's like, and again, I'm nitpicking when I'm thinking ahead against one of the best teams, like maybe the best team in the Western Conference. So,
right. Yep.
I don't know. Is there anything else that's in your brain? I'm already mad at Dort. Is that, you know, a week out? I'm already like, fuck that guy.
I know. I am looking forward to, like, because they weren't in the knockout rounds. They weren't in the knockout round last season. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun. But otherwise, I'm not going to lie. I have nothing else to say.
Nothing else? This game. No, I think that's good.
I don't know, man. They kicked the shit out of a bad team. That's all I mean.
We'll listen to other Mavs podcasts. If you guys are listening on audio streams, I'm going to start the Mavs party, talk for a few minutes. But if nobody really wants to join, then I'm going to go hang out with my wife, maybe watch some stuff. My wife was out last night and I didn't have anything to watch. And I put this, believe you're going to make fun of me for this. This Zack Snyder produced Netflix called cartoon. God, what was it called? Snyder cartoon. Twilight of the Gods. And it was like, each episode was like 25 minutes. And I was like, this slaps. I was having a great time. Granted, I'd had some cocktails, so maybe it wasn't very good, but that's what I'm going to do tonight. I don't know. We're in this part of the season where I don't know what to do with myself during off nights. Just because it's like, well, what I should do is go to bed. Like the answer is like, as always, go to bed. So, okay, well, I'm going to start the Mavs party. You go on with your evening and get some sleep too. We will see you guys a little, Saturday night, 6:30 game, which is also nice. It means we can be in and out, just like tonight. Everybody go be good. Enjoy the first part of your weekend, and we will talk soon. Go Mavs. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mavs Party. This is our secondary post-game show where you get to get your takes off about the game that was. The Dallas Mavericks just defeated the Washington Wizards 137-101, a hilarious 36 win point margin. If you don't know how to join the show, in the YouTube comments here, there is a StreamYard link which you can click to join. We can talk a little hoops. I really don't have anything to do, so I don't mind hanging out for a little while. If everybody wants, if there are things on folks' mind beyond the Wizards game, we can talk anything's Mavericks related. Coming up first, I already see my man Leo who has questions, and I love Leo's questions. Anybody else waiting to join, just click into that link, and we can talk a little hoops for a few minutes. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Hey, Mr. Kirk. I know you guys touched upon it a little bit about Spencer's weird 3-point shooting whenever he has a Mavs jersey on. Is there another player that you can think of that has the same kind of effect at any point in NBA history?
Oh, man, what a fun question. Like, for whom that particular player is just kind of an outlier of a guy. There have to be Spurs that were like this, because I feel like there's always Spurs that kill the Mavericks, and then when they go to other teams, they're just not like some of the guards that they've had over the years. It's a really good question because, like, let's go take a look at Spencer's shooting. Spencer Dinwiddie.
Because he wasn't awful in LA, it just wasn't on a high volume.
Yeah. No, it's and the volume is where he tends to get beat. And I also think it's kind of the types of shots. But I also feel I've not looked enough into the shot type, but I feel like he's taken just as many off the dribble shots as we've seen before. So it's man, this is crazy. This kind of shot differentiation where he's, he took, so with the Mavericks 2022-23, he took almost, God, it's a lot of 3-pointers. 493 pointers that season, where he was both Washington and Dallas and then Brooklyn. He shot 37%, but you're right. He was 40%, 41% with Dallas that year. And then he dropped to 29% the rest of the year with Brooklyn. And like this year is another good example. Or, I mean, he finished up, he shot only 32%. And then most of that season in Brooklyn before he moved on to the Lakers, where he really didn't take that many. You're right. And now he's just, I don't know, the volume per game. Where's he at right now? He is shooting 3.5 a game. That's like, I think that's livable. I don't know. I have a feeling the shot is going to leave him at some point, but hopefully at that point, someone else will have an uptick.
Well, hopefully it's Hardy. Have you seen an update on what if he's?
No, I missed what happened. What happened to him? I was down.
He got like a steal and went towards the basket, and the first guy kind of shaded off of him, like going to the right, and then another defender decided to go like kind of take out his leg under him. I don't think it was on purpose, but Hardy ended up like on one leg, and he was like biting like a towel because of how much pain he was in. I don't think I've ever seen him be dramatic like that. So
no, yeah. I mean, any type of fall when you're up is scary. So that's I'm sure we'll know more, but I've not seen any updates. I mean, the fact that he walked off the floor is good, but stuff like that can linger. But then again, he's also a young man. You never know with these guys.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate you, buddy. Talk soon. Okay, coming up next is Matt. How you doing, Matt?
What's up, Kirk? On the way home from the game. So.
Oh, hey, are you actually getting me on the metro station?
Yep, you got me there.
Fantastic. How's the game?
I think it was 90% Mavs fans. So that was pretty funny. But the only thing I really had to say is that I think we talked about it the other day. Could you imagine this team if Kyle Kuzma actually said that he wanted to get traded here instead of what happened? Like, it's just crazy to think about. Like, I was talking to some of the Wizards fans there, and like, probably wouldn't have Gap, probably wouldn't have PJ, probably like it's just crazy to think about after being at the game and seeing the difference. Like the
road less taken is sort of one of those fan things that's really fun to think about. And I couldn't be happier with the team that they have. I think I would have liked Kuzma to a certain degree because he's a fun player, but I don't think the Mavericks just are so they have so many different guys and that's what makes them, I think, very dangerous.
I think they have 9 players that could be the best player on the Wizards right now. It just shows how bad they are. And then the only thing is Hardy looked okay. Like we stayed to the end. Hardy looked okay walking out. Like it just looked like he got Like, I mean, he was moving okay. Like, it wasn't like he didn't need to be helped off the floor or anything, like go to the back. So he seemed okay at the end. So, but have a good night, Kurt. I was just checking in. So.
All right, coming up next is Mavs Max. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Kirk? How you doing?
Nice little evening. It's almost 9:00. We're gonna finish up before 9:30. That's nice.
Oh yeah, loving it. So I had a little bit of I was doing a little bit of just reflecting on what the offense has looked like since Luka's been back, and one thing I think that he needs to look at, or one thing they need to look at as a team is, he kind of hovers really far outside of that 3-point line a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think the Mavs offense would benefit from him, coming in a little bit closer and then attacking.
Like getting involved in any action other than standing there.
Right. Yeah. And, I just think that we're beyond the point of like, things are just going to crap and Luka's just out there to restart everything. He needs to be a part of the offense. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I agree. And I don't know what they need. Like, I think it drives me a little crazy because if his minutes are down, it drives me a little crazy that they still, or he at least still wants to take possessions off where he lets other guys do the work. Because, I mean, realistically, most basketball plays are two-man actions or three-man actions. So I get the inclination of like, all right, I'm going to space the floor over here. But like it's the same reason why Clay running around drives teams crazy. It causes them to have to guard and be more aware of who is all over the court. So Luka even involved in some of these actions where he's like just purely as a decoy. I hope they run more of it as the year goes along.
And for two, him just being at a better angle so it makes some of our other guys look a little worse, right? Like they'll get hung up in the air sometimes, but when Luka's midway to the half court, they don't have anyone to pass to when they, inevitably drive themselves maybe into a bad spot. So
right.
And just taking 2 or 3, he doesn't even need to be moving around. Just take 2 or 3 steps up and be at the 3-point line. So he'll get more catch and shoot threes.
Or you can cut to the basket on an off play instead of standing near the coach. Basically,
that's too much to ask. That's too much to ask, Kirk.
I bet he'll get there. I do. I mean, tonight's never a good example because he was sloppy as all get out and still finished with a triple double. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, no, I'm more looking at like where we could bring the height of this offense, right? Like, and I think that's, his efficiency could go up, with a few more catch and shoot threes. National media says he can't take and make catch and shoot threes. I don't believe it. He just needs to be sitting there more and take a few more of them. But anyway, that was something that I've noticed, and I'm never one to be critical of Luka's game. I just think that's an easy way for him to get more involved. So
I think it's worth it. And look, when you're playing as well as the team is right now, I think there's, depending on how you like to talk about basketball, how you like to watch sports, I do get the inclination to just go, you know what, everything's fine. Let's not worry about it.
Right.
But I am more how you were thinking, where it's like, all right, how do they get better? How do they get better? Because the season's too long. Things can get goofy. Guys can get into shooting ruts. Somebody can get hurt. So you got to get into these different mindsets where you're trying different stuff and figuring out what can work best so you can go to it a little bit later. I mean, I do think they do a pretty good job of finding something that works and then like tabling it. Almost to the point where it drives me crazy. Like, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and I feel like the Chiefs do this too, where it's like, oh, they find a play that works. Oh, we're just not going to use it for 12 more weeks until we need to bust it out in a position to make everyone mad on national television. The Mavericks kind of do the same thing, and it's like, let's just more 36-point wins, I guess, is where I'm at. Like, I would like to see them kick the shit out of teams.
I just want to be more of a nightmare to teams, and I think that's like an easy low-hanging fruit for the offense. That's really only my point. But yeah,
sure.
Hey, just want to do a quick plug. I've done one of those body composition scans. By the way.
Yeah.
So if anyone, not since seeing it here with y'all's ads and stuff, but I've done them in the past, and they're really, really interesting and a great way to track your progress. So if you're into fitness at all, or someone that you just step on the scale every time you go to the gym. That's not really enough to see what your body is doing and how it's changing.
Oh,
it's into it.
I mean, I probably can't right now just because this year's I've had some weird leg injuries, But within the last 16 months, I could run a sub 6-minute mile. I am 6'3" and I'm 240 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great. Then I go and get this scan done, and it just annihilates me on the visceral fat, that's fat that's around your organs. And I'm just like, motherfucker. And I know how to fix it. I've talked about it. I know how to fix it. I just need to make the changes. And that's actually probably the single hardest part about getting older with fitness stuff.
Yeah.
It's like your body changes and you just have to do different things. And this really gave me like some insight onto, it's like, all right, I might be good here, really good lean muscle mass in certain areas, great bone density, blah, 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 but not like, it's like even my body fat is a little too high, which I knew. I like a drink. That's
really interesting. It's really quick too. So
yeah, anyway, and I can't wait till Josh gets one because Josh has lost a bunch of weight over the last 2 years, but he's still like, I can't wait for this thing to tell me I'm garbage. And I'm like, what are you going to do?
Well, you can track your progress too, and that's really what's most important. It's just you versus, you versus.
That's right.
You versus yourself. That's all it is.
Max, what a great plug. The guy who, I'll tell my rep at the company this because he's like, what else can we do to get? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I just got to get people to, you can't make people do stuff. So
it's interesting.
Thanks, man.
Have a good night.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Sure.
All right. So I saw Mr. Green hop in and then Mr. Green hopped out, which is disappointing because we would have liked to have heard his early. Oh, there he is. There he is. Good morning. What's happening?
How are you, mate?
I'm great. Tell me what's going on with you today.
I'm getting attacked by march flies. You just get march flies over there?
How do march flies?
You ever heard of a march fly?
I'm looking this up now. This is it. Okay. This is yes. I know we have elements of my father would call this a horse fly. So they're pretty big.
Yeah, fuckers.
I hate them.
I was having beers last night with a mate and it's the first time I've seen them this season, man. And having cattle, that's the problem. Got Trixie here and she brings them in.
That will happen.
Mate, that was probably one of the worst games I've ever watched. That was fucking tough. Tough viewing, man. Really tough. Had me going through League Pass looking for something else to watch. How can you do a show after a game like that, Kirk?
Wait, honestly, Josh and we talked about the Wizards for like 12 minutes, maybe, not even that. And then we looked ahead to the NBA Cup where the Mavericks are going to play the Thunder. And then I just, we just sort of gave some big picture takes on where the Mavericks are right now. I mean, I keep sharing this stat. The Mavs have lost 8 games by a total of 39 points. And someone in the chat pointed out that the Lakers lost a game to the Heat by 41 points. Uh-oh. The March flies might have gotten Mr. Green's internet. That would be the way things go. That's okay. All right. This has been a fun 40 minutes. There he is. We'll try to add him. There you go.
2 Mr. Greens.
Yeah, you look good. We're just going to leave that there. Looks good.
2 Mr. Greens. Shit. Yeah, I can only imagine your and Josh's conversation before hopping on. It'd be like, fucking hell, Josh, do we really have to do this tonight?
That is the conversation we had and it's there's so many different choices for Mavs podcasts where it's like I'm at 2 shows in 40 minutes and I've just decided I'm like, you know what, if other people want to talk to me, we'll talk, but listen to other stuff. You're not going to hurt my feelings, guys. There's lots of things going on in the world. You can always find something else to do than hear about this, kind of boring game.
But look, third in the West. There's some, the last time I checked the score, and you're probably in a better position because the last time I touched my iPad, I fucking dropped out. But how's the Kings game and the Grizzlies game going, Kirk? What's the score?
So Sacramento is up by 1 with about 8 minutes left
in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be an interesting one for us, just to get a little bit of breathing room. But look, man, we've turned the season around already. I wish we could have got 1 or 2 of those tough losses by a bucket.
Sure.
But
that Grizzlies game kind of more than made up for it because I don't think the Mavericks That was such an ugly game. 25 turnovers and they win. I don't want to say they didn't deserve to win it, but it's like that made up for a lot of the miscues in the other games.
And the game before, we beat a team who shot, 56% from three?
That was pretty cool. The Portland win was sneakily bigger than I think we'll remember as the season goes on. That was a tough win.
Yeah, man, they were shooting the lights out. But, yeah, these guys can, it's starting to get the momentum that they have. It feels, I think Josh has said it quite a few times, starting to feel inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to feel like they're not being pressed, but they're not taking the foot off the throat, which is good to see. I can imagine the giggles in the locker room when Keith went out there and nailed his first three when he came off the bench in the fourth. So the boys will be having a laugh, but they need it because, man, they've had a really shit schedule, eh? Like coming home and playing one game and then go and play two on the road, and coming home and playing one game and then going back out on the road again. So
a lot of these early games too, it worries me. I've not looked enough ahead, but it worries me. Do you remember last season? And this is obviously not you're on the different side of the world, so when you're watching these games, it's different times. But yeah, I'm looking at the schedule now. No, I guess it's not that bad. I feel like the Mavericks are like there's only really one stretch during the year where they play a number of California-based games in a row, and those are the games that really whip my ass.
Yeah. I mean, it must be nice to get some early jumps for you guys because, like you said, you can still do something after you finish up with this.
Or just go to bed, which, I mean, that's normally like when the Mavericks have a great game. Part of the reason why I like doing these shows is they're a little bit of a wind down for me because otherwise I'm up anyways because I'm just kind of amped from the game. And so tonight, I'll get to go. I think I'm going to go watch TV with my wife. So that should be fun.
You get a good sleep tonight, mate, because there wasn't much amperage coming out of tonight's game.
Nope.
It was flat, real flat.
It was. Well, I appreciate you keeping our show going. You got anything else before we go?
No, mate. Just I'm liking what I'm seeing. The role players are playing well. Dinwiddie's must have had 5 good games in a row now after that Miami game. Luka looks like Luka again, which is good to see. No injuries tonight, although Hardy was a little bit, that was a little bit of a concern. But no, mate, another good win. We keep moving in the right direction. Toronto will be interesting because they're better than their
yes, they're feisty.
But I think you covered it in your show. Quite a few players out as well, so hopefully we'll smash that one as well, mate, and get into the. Should be a top 2 seed soon. I hope we play. When do we play Houston again?
I guess there's a chance for the NBA Cup, but they don't actually play them on the schedule until New Year's Day.
Well, I mean, let's look at a dream scenario. We go in, beat OKC, climb another spot on the ladder with them, and then meet Houston in the final or the semi, and then beat them as well. That'd be a nice little way to get close to the number 1 seed.
I would enjoy that.
I reckon Josh will wear a headband if we get to the number 1 seed for one of your shows.
Let's see how that goes, man. All right, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Kirk. See you, mate.
All right. Okay, guys, been a lot of fun. Thanks so much. Remember, to consider going to that body spec link, like my guy said before. That'd be fun for me. But otherwise, hey, look, we'll be back here Saturday night. It's an early game, Toronto. Probably be back around 9. So I guess when we'd start. Everybody have a great rest of your. I guess I'm putting this out on Friday night, so you'll be able to listen to this on Saturday if you're listening to the audio show. Thanks so much for hanging out, and go Mavs.